This portion of This Week in Agribusiness is brought to you by Case IH. Be ready with Steiger Quad Track and Magnum Road Track tractors. See your Case IH dealer. Back with us this weekend, Ray Brownfield, LandPro LLC. We look at those costs of doing business, and farmers are looking at them so closely right now, and there are a number of things they can't impact all that much as far as the bottom line is concerned. But the cash rental rate for those who have that cost, that's significant, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be up to 38 to 40% of their total cost of operation, which back when rents were in that 350, 375 range, and you think it costs about 525, 550 to put an acre of corn in plus that rental, that's a lot. And today we have to take a hard look at that. And I'm in the midst right now of working with landowners I work with to inform them that we need to look at that whole situation. That aspect probably is going to have to change a little bit. And people don't like to hear that necessarily, but they need to understand the farmers have to make a profit to be sustainable. And there's some really good farmers out there, and we don't want to cause issues with them, having them cut back on fertilizer and do other things to survive. That's not a good cultural practice to do that.
40%, that's a significant percentage. I think many people would be surprised at that number, Ray.
It is, because the rents were up there pretty high. And that was all good. We enjoyed that when corn was at $4.50 and $5 a bushel or greater, and soybeans were at 11 to 12, but they're not there today. The yields are good, that so far to some degree, but not as good as last year. So we have to make the proper adjustments. And here I'm representing a landowner, but I have to understand what it means for the total picture that we deal with.
One could imagine that message plays differently depending on who's receiving it. For example, someone who's been involved in agriculture, to use that term granny landlord, Dr. David Cole refers to, that lady who owns some farmland, outlived her husband. She probably remembers these difficult times in the farm economy. She would get it. But what about that outside investor whose portfolio sits here, invested in many things, and here's this thing, agriculture, where he or she hoped to get a good, solid return every year?
Those outside investors, like maybe we're referring to, usually have professional services that they work with. So they're pretty well informed of those changes that could happen. When they made that initial investment, it's usually a 10-year hold, so they understand there can be change in the market. Obviously, they hope it's going to be really always good on the upside, but we know that's not always going to be the case. I think they all see this as an opportunity as land values are coming down to some degree of maybe being a buyer and looking long-term and balancing their portfolio. There'll be some who may say, well, maybe it is time they've gotten a good gain, and we see some of that out there. They've gotten a good gain in the market because they bought back in the 80s, maybe a good time to sell, but then get back in the market at a lower price level. So we see a lot of those things going on. We see the landowners of whom have really done well in the last 5 years, and they've all learned, and me included, to really live on that income. It was a good thing. But it's going to have to change a little bit too for the next couple of years. That's going to be painful for some people.
It can be tough on some with fixed incomes.
Exactly, because maybe they have medical issues, they have a nursing home. That's a tough deal that we have to all deal with.
Communication will be important, won't it?
It will be, exactly.
Thank you, sir. Ray Brownfield, our guest this weekend on This Week in Agribusiness. His firm is LandPro LLC. We'll welcome him back one of these days before too long.